Welcome to 1993. This is Regeneration X. My name is Daniel, and I am your host as we take a trip through February, a month where romance is in the air with Valentine's Day upon us, and a man where romance is always paramount. Wesley, how is it going?
No doubt. I legit didn't know which one of us you were throwing it to. That's awesome. That's awesome. Fucking Casanova over here. How can I compete with that?
How did I miss that softball? Oh, I missed out on that
No
one.
doubt. It's all good. All good. I appreciate it. I'm chilling, man. Life is good. I'm sitting here being pretentious as all get out. I've actually got my Valentine's meal set up in front of me. It's funny that we're talking about February and Valentine's month. I've got my wine and some cheese slices and some sliced apples. That is my romance move when it comes to chilling with Amy, is we sip some wine, eat some fruit, and eat some cheese and other things. So I'm ready to go, man. Life is good. Let's get it.
Well, like you said, you can't spell Casanova without Cass. Cass, good to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me. And just for everybody who doesn't know, this is our first show of the new year. So happy new year, everyone. And let's go back in time.
Indeed. All right. Well, we're kicking things off as we always do, looking at the events that made the month of February 1993. And we're not done with Rodney King. The federal hearings have begun, and just keeping up with a story that we've been covering for what has to be at least 6 calendar months, going back I think as far as May 1992 with this, maybe a little earlier than that, but we're finally getting to the justice side of things as we've reached the federal hearings.
Sure. I was like, oh, there's like 2 milk duds in that entire crowd that I'm looking at right now, but I think that's Jesse. No, that wasn't Jesse Jackson beside him. That's a light-skinned brother behind him, though. And yeah, there's some pigment around him. There's just a bunch of light-skinned people
And a
standing
reporter.
around
Yeah.
it. Yeah, whatever. Okay. It is what it is. It's Rodney King. Up.
She's literally on top of the someone else. This reporter writing it down. Man,
Feel like she's standing on somone's shoulders.
I just saw her head push somebody down in front of her.
Did she really?
Look, there he is.
Go, yeah, there he is. He just popped up like a freaking
like,
gerbil, whack-a-mole.
Toasty.
Toasties.
Look at these people writing things down. They had cassette recorders in 1993.
These are legit reporters, man. That's how you get it in.
This is like when you see an old movie where they pull out the little notepad.
Exactly. It's like a period piece.
Maybe they weren't allowed to have them. That is, what else could possibly be the excuse for not bringing a cassette recorder? You are the all-star of the game if you show up with a cassette recorder to this.
Speaking of all-star of the game, I thought that was Karl Malone for a second. Like initially, I was like, oh, we're about to talk about Karl Malone, but that's a weird-looking Karl Malone. Nope, that's Rodney King. Can't we all get along?
This is 3 years after retirement, Karl Malone.
Plus, one dude back there does have a tape recorder.
Yeah, I was noticing it in the guy's hand, so I don't know.
Is the quality just... Are they worried that they're just going to miss something with poor, especially standing behind him if the quality is too poor?
Probably so much crowd noise that maybe the recorders of the time were just going to be an absolute disaster to deal with.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and admit I can't write fast enough to do what these people are doing. It would
be the worst note taker ever.
Illegible.
I can't read my own writing now. It's computers and typing is just...
He continued to rise. He got up to his knees. And
here's one of the villains of the piece on the stand. Yeah, telling a story that doesn't quite pan out with what we have to see on video. But we know. Spoiler alert. There's I don't know that happy ending is the terminology to use for this, but there will be justice before this is over with.
Sitting there looking like a douchebag.
Yeah.
With his douchey forehead and it
walks in the room guilty. He's guilty. We can just
look at you. Sitting there all pink and douchey.
Let's save a ton of time. Let's see if we got another one here.
And he went into a push-up position.
You just look at him and know he thinks he's getting off. He's like,
yeah, exactly. I thought this was Samwise Gamgee for a second.
For like a half a second, right? He's got that look about him.
The power stroke on his right
I was like, well,
arm,
he looks like
yell at him
he
to
doesn't
get
look
down on
nearly
his
as
He
bad as
doesn't
the
look
previous
that
guy.
bad. Look, he's probably just.
Try to stop one of
Let
your
me take the
fellow
burden,
officers
guys.
without control.
Yeah,
He
he
was
has
there.
remorse for what he's done.
Yeah.
Situation that you observed at
That
point
guy,
in
he
time,
wanted to escalate it. He'd been wanting to kick somebody's ass all day.
Yes. It was
He
addressed
does
I've
look
been
like that
waiting on
guy
this.
that you do not want to get pulled over by, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
Like, oh no, what? Please, yes, please give me a ticket, please.
You tried to say something
My
to the
wife's at
officer
home
that
banging the neighbor right now. My daughter's
Oh.
dating a Mexican. I'm so mad.
A lot of rage flowing through those veins is the look that I'm getting here.
Oh my God. He unleashed it on poor old Rodney King.
He woke up this morning looking for somebody to club.
Ready to beat somebody. I wish the MFer would. Look at this guy. He looks like the Time to Make the Donuts guy.
Oh, I forgot about Donuts guy. Yeah,
That's a heck of a bald head, man.
shiny ball.
By the way, the guy from the Princess Bride, inconceivable.
Conceivable, no
It is
doubt.
inconceivable that Rodney deserves this. Depends on what side of the
Right.
courtroom he's on, I guess. As you can see here, we've got the suspect surrounded, and yet we continue to beat him.
Well, it was his fault.
Little-
It broke my clock. God knows, man.
I don't want to
Little
watch.
did
I don't
they
want to watch
know-
the brutal part.
Little did they know what we were going to come into with the advancement of technology and the amount of police misconduct that was going to be recorded from this point
Yeah,
forward.
most, in no small part, if not in all parts, thanks to this incident. You know, we've got the vest cams and that kind of thing, the dash cams and all that now.
Mm.
So it did, you know, for all the tragic things that happen, and you know, we're still dealing with it. Some 17 years later, there has been. Oh, was it more than that? Right, 27 years
Yeah,
later.
20 something.
You're so old.
How you know? There's probably been at least more cases have probably not escalated because the police knew that he was being watched. So hopefully,
Oh, for sure.
you know, far more good than bad has come as a result of this.
I'll tell you what, my YouTube algorithm is full of that crap, though. Just people being abused by the police and people cussing out the police and like, you know, I'm on the record. I'm on wax several times over on these shows and a lot of our other content of talking about how much I support the police and all of our servicemen and women. But I don't know, man. I enjoy watching people kind of push their civic rights or their rights as citizens and putting our service people rightly in place. Sometimes there's a lot of them that just need to be put in place. Hey, you're here to serve us. Shut up and do your job. Leave me alone. You're on camera. What are you going to do about it? Because I'm a civilian, you know, because I'm a citizen. You're here for me. And yeah, it's just all over my YouTube now. People cussing out police officers, which I hate 9 times out of 10, but you know, I admit to getting some visceral enjoyment from it as well. So it's all over the place.
The ones I don't like are the guys who like set out to do something to get the police called just so that they could flex their muscles and say, well, you can't do anything.
Like I'm gonna walk down the street with my assault rifle because it's my right.
Yeah.
And you know, when other, you know, civilians, you know, people call the police because there's some weirdo with an assault rifle in my neighborhood,
Weirdo
I'm
in full
gonna
fatigue walking
do
around
everything I
the
can do to ruin the police life. Yeah.
on camera, daring them to say something.
Right.
It's a weird line that rides, and sometimes I'm like, oh my God, please hit him, police officer.
Exactly. I'm the same way. I'm like, this guy needs to be hit in the face with a baton.
Right, repeatedly.
Right.
Punched in the mouth.
Because you are not the guy we're trying to save.
Yeah. But whatever. That sucks. Can't we all get along?
Speaking of getting punched in the face, up next, we've got Riddick Bowe.
Riddick. That's not Riddick Bowe right there.
Well, that's not Riddick Bowe. That is Michael Dokes. He's not gonna have a good
I know
day
the
here.
name. He was a champ. Okay. He is not going to have a good day because the guy whose name we do know is going to punch him in the face.
Right. Riddick Bowe was a decent champ in his title reign. I tend to, for whatever reason, I tend to feel like he didn't do a lot, but then you start to look at his legacy. Riddick Bowe was a solid boxer. Anyway,
Sure.
he's gonna TKO Michael Dokes in the first round, which means they had to stop the fight. Either that or he knocked him down 3 times.
Look at Riddick Bowe representing Fila.
Riddick Bowe looks way bigger than this other guy too.
Bowe's a big dude though.
32-0 with 27 KOs. Yeah, so let me start acknowledging Riddick Bowe is serious business.
You would, most of the time when you hear Riddick Bowe, you just think of that one Tyson fight, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
you don't think that he did anything before or after that fight.
Right, you don't just
It
get
looks like
to
Floyd
fight
Jr.
Tyson.
behind him. Like I know it's, I guess it's not him, but that looked like Floyd Jr. behind him.
Short, snapping right hand from Bowe.
This poor guy, he's got cornrows and a receding hairline.
Bulging at the waist.
Bad look.
That's not a great look.
We gotta at least get a little action in this thing.
So the problem that Riddick Bowe has, in my mind's eye, like my memory's eye, is that he's not Mike Tyson, right?
Yeah, during an era where Tyson was the biggest name ever, even after all the controversy. And I think you got like Holyfield and Foreman are still in the top 3 of. Man, this guy just go down.
Shout out to him.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
Lord. He needs to- come on.
Yeah,
come on.
the ref
yeah.
is like, nah. Thank you, ref. This man. Yeah,
Look at him.
I'm making
Are
the
you sure?
decision for you.
He's got to do that thing where he pretends like, no, don't stop it, but thank you because I have a family. And really, Michael Dokes' coach is like, why'd you stop it? Are you kidding me? He's literally still about to fall down, and you're arguing that it wasn't over. Shut up.
He was doing that walk that Sinbad did when he said, when you're trying to act like you're catching up to your wife and she's mad at you. When he was trying to get back to the referee, like that's the walk he was doing.
Oh my God, where'd you pull that one from? Good call. That's awesome. But facts, he was done.
So
Shout out to Riddick.
yeah, absolutely. We're probably not the last we'll see of him either. So guys, up next, you're gonna say, well, why is this not in the music segment? Because everyone knows we've got segments for movies, music, games, etc. We try to put everything else into the events segment. Well, I don't have a high confidence that we're going to see this charting, but I couldn't not put it on the list. The debut of Miss Carmen Electra with her music single "Get On Up," and if nothing else, just an excuse for me to throw Carmen Electra on the show. This is terrible. This is terrible, by the way, and that's why I don't
this
think we'll
very
see it.
moment, I forgot this ever happened.
Yeah, facts, me too.
She's one of those. Is she like a? I was gonna say, is she a Kardashian before the Kardashian? And now I don't mean that in the money category. I mean, why is she famous?
She's an actress.
Didn't she do Playboy or something and then married Dennis Rodman?
She did marry Dennis Rodman. I'd forgotten
Was
about
she
that.
not an actress?
Well, I mean, she's as much of an actress as anyone, right?
Was she on Baywatch or?
I thought she was a Baywatch.
Did she?
chick.
She's definitely later on in Baywatch. I'll have to check out her filmography. I think she originally tried this, and this didn't. I'm not gonna say it didn't work because as I was looking her up on Spotify, she still made albums all the way up through 2012.
You're lying.
I'm not. It was. I mean, I didn't know either.
Albums too, though.
Yeah, I'm not. I didn't check them out or anything. I just Spotify actually didn't go back to this album. It wasn't in the database, but there's probably 7 albums between 2007, 2097 or something like that, and 2012. Yeah.
So help me appreciate what we're saying here. Are you saying that Carmen Electra's introduction to the world
Was this.
was potentially as a music artist?
And you know who helped her out with that? Prince. Prince is like, check out my girl, Carmen Electra. Part of the what is it called? Not the revolution. The new power generation. Is that what it was for a while?
Was Carmen Electra part of the new power generation?
Yeah.
Was she really?
Yep.
AKA Prince was knocking that down. Was it?
I don't have any commentary on that. What I will say is that I do think Carmen Electra is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, she's a little smokestack.
Yep.
So I just looked at her IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that she was a video the Beavis and Butthead review.
Probably this, right?
Everybody Get On Up. Is that the song?
Yep, that's what we're looking at.
It was in the episode No Laughing. She was on the Beavis and Butthead episode, or her video was on Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
Prince don't mess around with ugly girls.
Carmen Electra.
And she was on Baywatch.
Does it say what year she started Baywatch?
1996 is Candy.
Yeah, so three years after this video comes out, she's, I feel like she transitioned from whatever this is into an acting career. So good for her.
I'm gonna look up some Carmen Electra songs and see what she sounds like. Because Prince is also like a musical genius.
You know what? I clicked on 20 seconds of something newer than this, and I thought it was not bad. This particular song, which was her introduction, was objectively bad, but she's not that bad.
Okay. Again, yeah, she can't be that bad, I think, for her to be hanging out with Prince. Although it's possible that he was just knocking that down. It's like, yeah, I can produce, or I can get you a gold album, you know what I mean, or whatever.
If since we're gonna go there and we're in that neighborhood, what I can say complimentary to her is, she's got a beautiful face, and she's a talented singer, had a good acting career. She's got a body type that holds up today more than a lot of the girls from the early 90s. She's very and that's
yourself.
Nope, I won't. I'm just saying.
Why not?
She's a curvy girl. I just in the best of ways, and like Sir Mix-a-Lot was complaining about. There's too many of those flat girls in the magazines or whatever he said.
Okay, so you're saying she's probably a little bit thicker than what was being pushed to us back then.
Yeah, and
she's got.
Maybe she was eye-opening because she's definitely a winner with me. Yeah.
What do you think she weighs?
In that video, I don't know how.
In height.
I mean, I'm gonna be a little nerd. Well, I don't know how tall she is. I
she's
think
hanging out with Prince, so it's possible that she's like 5 foot tall.
I'm gonna give her 5'4", 130.
I'm just saying that because I don't really consider her like.
I'll never be able to find out the weight
thick.
for sure. I can. I'm not saying thick, like
5'2.5".
Okay.
But her weight is not listed.
Yeah, of course. So I'm gonna bump it down to 120, maybe even 115. I don't know. I'm terrible at gauging female weight.
Yeah, that's a solid body at 5'2". Yeah, okay. I'm with it.
Not calling her thick per se, although I mean she falls in the category, but she's definitely thicker. Put her up. Man,
okay.
I'm whatever. I'll just be that guy. Put her up against a like a Paula Abdul or something of the time.
If you look at her trademark here on IMDb, she has 3 trademarks: curvaceous, buxom figure, sparkling blue eyes, and a lisp, breathless voice.
Okay.
Those are her 3 trademarks according to IMDb.
Well, I can check the first 2. I don't know how I feel about the third. I just don't know.
TBD.
TBD. And what was also TBD in 1993 was who was going to be the new Attorney General, well, I'll tell you who it was going to be, and that's going to be Bill Clinton appointing Janet Reno.
Mm-hmm.
And here's her inauguration. But why does she get famous, you may say? Let's see if you guys remember.
Saturday Night Live.
There you go, Cass. Well done. Now we've got a glance at her there. Now let's look at one Will Ferrell.
What?
Who would go on to play Janet Reno for quite a while, as a matter of fact. This is a segment he did repeatedly called Janet Reno's Dance Party.
Is that right?
Indeed. And he would always, not always, but he would often have real political figures. I think Rudy Giuliani is going to be on this episode with him. And yeah, this the real Rudy, not an actor. So
that's Rudy
getting interviewed by Will dressed as Janet Reno. Just Saturday Night Live has always had fun with politics, if nothing else.
Can you name the other people in this scene or in this shot right now?
Well, looks like Anna Gasteyer. Was that Will Forte?
The bottom left one there. Oh, there's Molly Shannon to the right of him.
That was the only one I knew.
Yeah.
But I believe in you guys. I just wasn't a Saturday Night Live guy like that.
I definitely was in the 90s.
In the 90s, yeah, I was.
This time of the 90s, you know. We're home anyway. Like, we're not necessarily... Well, we were either hanging out or we were at home, so... No vehicle per se.
Definitely not watching TV at this point. Like, oh, it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. It's video game time.
It was usually video game time for me too, but I might have flipped between the two. She's boxing Giuliani. All right.
I was going to bed because I had to get up for church in the morning.
Oh, true. The life of a preacher's son.
Chicken blue behind him. Will needs to get out the way.
So up next we have the Daytona 500. Something I knew you guys would be particularly excited about.
I'm stoked. I love it.
Wesley, you remember the winner of the 93 Daytona 500?
Dale Earnhardt.
Solid guess.
Bill Elliott.
Who would your second guess be, Wesley?
It was number 3 right there. That's Elliott, right?
Look at you guys.
Oh, no. That is
guesses.
Right. No. What's his name? The guy that would be at Winn-Dixie, who used to do the Winn-Dixie thing.
Oh, yeah.
What is his name? What was that guy's name? But who is that? Who's number 3?
Number 3 was Earnhardt.
That is Earnhardt. Okay, never mind.
I'll tell you the winner.
Because he didn't win until late.
Jeff Gordon, maybe? I don't know.
Another good guess. So the winner is going to be Dale Jarrett.
I would have got to that name eventually.
Okay. And here's where I'll tie this. This will come around to something. Dale Jarrett wins driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. Joe Gibbs, who might be notable as being your NFL Washington Redskins head coach, 1 year removed at this point, but would be back later on in 2004 through 2007 to be their coach. 3-time Super Bowl coach Joe Gibbs. And that is where I tie that into something relevant in February, which is football. So
Okay.
Washington Redskins maybe not as much to us as others, but nod to Joe Gibbs. So not only retired with a winning record, like a 500 obviously is even. I think he was a 650. So solid record. Again, multiple Super Bowl appearances, and then went into the NASCAR world and winning championships there too. So the man knows how to win.
I'm so stuck on who was that guy who used to do the things for Winn-Dixie. Was it Mark Martin?
Mark Martin is another name. I don't think he did Winn-Dixie, but I will take a moment.
I feel like it was like I've got him. Whoever it is, he'd say, "Hi, I want to say it's Mark. Hi, I'm Mark Martin." Blah 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 blah. He had that. It was almost like a
It
Ross
was Mark
Perot-like
Martin.
voice.
It was Mark Martin. Good job.
I love him. I just love that voice. There's not
Did you
another
say like a
accent
Ross
in the
Perot voice?
yeah
Because that's
yeah
exactly what I would have said too.
it's awesome. There's not a better accent in the world than a Southern accent. I don't care what anyone's. Well, maybe not in the world, but in our country.
Oh man, I was listening to a Rich Eisen interview with. Oh man, it doesn't count if I can't tell you his name, but he had one of those deep, gravelly, but also Southern voices. And
Okay.
I'm like that. Steven Dorff, if you guys know who that is, he was in a million things. Got a new show called Deputy. Was in True Detective season 3.
Yeah, I know you're talking
then
about.
just a million other things. But it's got that raspy, dark, but Southern voice. Yeah, like good stuff. Good stuff. You'll whatever this man says, listen to him.
Yeah, he's been in some cool stuff also, Steven Dorff.
Yeah, big
like him.
career, good actor.
I was, a kid with my friends.
Here.
Shout out to the Southerners.
I'd be quite honest with you. I know
Probably not a Southerner, as best as I know. Here's Gary Coleman,
Gary Coleman.
who got into it with his parents a little bit in 1993. He sues his parents for over $1 million because he felt like they were skimming off the top of his earnings, royalties, etc., being his agents when he was a child. So
Probably.
he wanted his money back,
It's
basically.
almost like they were raising you, you little weirdo.
Right? Because he went flat broke, didn't he? Like,
Yeah.
he lost everything at one point.
Couldn't find any interviews with him on the on the actual timeline.
Is he dead?
Yeah, he is. I'm not sure. It's been a while, like a long while. Even after his death, his parents were still like, Gary screwed us. That was really they still had the animosity over the court case. Many years later.
And money, man. Family and money. The root of all evil and I don't know. There's just what can you say about money?
A lot of these child actors go through it.
Yeah.
Can you believe my parents have the audacity to spend my money that I earned? Shut up. I say that, but who knows what he really went through?
Yeah, who knows? But I mean, we do know that he was not in that position without his parents putting him there. It's complicated.
Without a doubt.
Can't really say, and it all just lies in how good are the parents.
Yeah, because part of me really believes this, that like with child actors and things like that. Shut up! It's not your money. It's just not. It kind of is, and part of it should be set aside for you, but at least half of it belongs to your parents. At least half of it.
Because if they're buying a house, you're living in that house, right?
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
It becomes a very strange business relationship.
It is.
Where the parents profit off the work of the child. If the child's doing well enough, the parents may not do anything except be the agents and caretakers of this child. So some very weird relationship where they both need each other, but the child doesn't realize it as much as the parents do at the time.
And then once you become an adult, you look back on your life as a child and you kind of view the child as an adult, like yourself as a child, as an adult. And that's just not a thing. It's just not a thing. And then, I don't know, I guess I'm blessed to have, or we're blessed to have the parents that we have, so we're able to view them differently. But who knows?
I thought you were about to say we're blessed to not be child actors.
Perhaps.
Maybe, right? Maybe. Who knows how that would have corrupted us mentally? Because I feel like a lot of those kids end up kind of screwed in the head for the most part, it seems. And maybe we know them because they're the ones. Their stories are the ones that entertain us,
right?
As at some point, and the normal ones we
Did you save money?
Right,
we don't
I'm
enjoy
sure.
talking about as much.
Yeah, because you don't hear about them. So there's probably plenty of them that went on to do completely fine.
Because you was making like a billion an episode or something.
Who else did fine at the Grammys in 1993 was Eric Clapton, the big winner, getting introduced here by my man Gary Shandling. Yeah, say that correctly. Yep, I thought I had a chance to bring it back one more time to make you cry one more time. And this is what he's performing.
God bless you, Eric Clapton.
I know. I'll put the song on every playlist that has the 1992 year in it, or any of the 90s. It definitely deserves it. But then I can't really listen to it because it just bums me out so much.
Oh, it hurts my heart.
Yep.
And we had the conversation a while back about what's your guy's name? Tim Toolman Taylor. What's the
Tim Allen?
Tim Allen. And him just not being a comedian that entertained us. Gary Shandling, whatever his name was. Yeah, same thing. Is he funny?
I like him. I think I would need to be fair to him and rewatch a lot of his work. I think he was interesting and entertaining to me at the time, but a lot of it was probably over the head of a 12, 13 year old. Didn't he have a show
on HBO or something?
So at first he had multiple shows, or at least two. He had the Gary Shandling show, and then later on came back to HBO to do a show called the Larry Sanders Show, where I think he played a late night talk show host. And I don't think I ever watched an episode of it, but so I may be wrong about the premise of the show.
And you're probably right in that his comedy was over my head more than likely.
And a little quirky.
And he was in an Avengers movie.
Was he?
He was in what?
Wasn't that him in an Avengers movie?
Possibly.
Or a Captain America movie?
I've only seen the first one, and I fell asleep during it.
I'm gonna have to go back and check that now. And now I feel like I need to. I remember the Gary Shandling show existing and me thinking it was a fun show at the time, but couldn't tell you a thing about it.
I'll keep talking about Gary Shandling all night long if you're going to have Eric Clapton in front of me singing that song.
Just to avoid that. Okay, that's fine, because we're actually going to come back to comedians here in just a moment, but we'll move on to if I couldn't bum you out with Eric Clapton, let's talk about the World Trade Center bombing that happened on February 26, 1993.
Nobody dies though, right?
I think only, and I say this, I don't mean that in any kind of disrespectful way, but when you say bombing in a giant building, when I say I think only a very small number of people, and then somewhere in a larger number where they always say, and I may have read this about something else today as I was researching some of these events. It was like 6 or maybe less than that killed and 1,000 injured. And if I'm going to be any kind of jerk in talking about this, I'm like, where that ratio doesn't sound possible. Like, what are we defining injured? Did you cut your hand on the door? Like how can the disparity be that big between deaths and injury? Not that I want death or anything. It's just an interesting ratio.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we're probably looking. I just kind of did a quick search. 6 people died, over 1,000 injured.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Yeah, that was the numbers I was looking at. So tragic for the 6 deaths. Could have been way worse. Obviously.
Could have been way worse. Yeah. Okay.
But I was just like, what a huge disparity. Good, I would rather be injured than dead for sure. But I just thought that was a curious number.
If you're looking at the injured list, like if you're the guy that got your leg blown off and you're like, this guy is listed as injured, but he like rolled his ankle sprinting away from the building. Like how are we even in the same category here?
I need to be in another category, right?
Right. What would you say? You wouldn't say fatally injured because that would be dead, right? So
severely.
Severely, yeah. There you go. Like the lady who breathed some smoke there. She probably filed the injury. I could just look at her and see that she was going to file it.
Oh, I don't want to keep reading this. Yeah, first, like when I said like don't laugh, I was like, okay, we're talking about just the person who did the bombing died, but no, people actually died. So I didn't mean to
Oh, I see what you're saying there. Yeah, like
belittle their loss at all.
if it backfired on the bomber, there would have been a little dark humor to that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sucks. And then like I'm reading this and like a pregnant woman. Oh, that's sad. Fucking stop bombing. Stop killing fellow citizens. At the very least, let's not do that. Can we not do that?
I mean, can't we all just get along? Gee,
Can't we all get along?
have you learned anything?
They apparently weren't watching the Rodney King interview some months back.
What was this about? Does anyone know? Were these like the same people that were with McVeigh and just a bunch of domestic terrorists? I think that's what it was, right? Were they domestic terrorists?
I believe it was domestic.
Yeah, I believe they were domestic terrorists.
Pricks.
Right. Not that there's any good reason, but it's just another level of terrible if you would do that to your own innocent fellow citizens. Moving on to something.
Show the world.
Something. So here we'll circle back around to something a little lighter. Jerry Seinfeld wins the 7th American Comedy Award as Best Comedian, and I'm not sure if we've had a chance to hit this yet. You guys' thoughts on Seinfeld? So we'll bring it up again if we haven't.
Not a fan for real.
Okay.
But a lot of respect. But I'm a big Larry David fan. I think Larry David is hilarious. And Jerry Seinfeld's just
they're
kind of funny.
Yeah.
His show it didn't really do anything for me.
Is that Kurt?
No,
It's just Seinfeld.
Yeah. No, some of his stand-up comedy, like his observations and his spin on it, I really enjoy. He's got a show. I think it's on Netflix now.
Yeah.
It was on another show on another streaming service, but comedians in cars getting coffee, and now I love that because then he's just having conversations with other comedians, and their insight on things is just absolutely fascinating to me.
I'll say this: there's something. I have a lot of respect for what he was able to do and the way that he did it, because you know what? There's something to be said for a clean comedian that can achieve the level of success that he had. A lot like a clean rapper, you know.
That's not
Eminem famously had that line. Will Smith don't have to cuss in his raps to sell records. Well, I do. So F him and F you too, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's like a credit to Will that he didn't have to do that. He did every now and then. He'd say damn and things like that. But I think it took a level of skill to get his point across within certain confines, right? And Jerry Seinfeld does that as well. So yeah, I respect his craft and the way that he does his thing.
That's going to do it for events in February 1993. Do stay with us because we've got so much more to cover in 1993, and our next topic is going to be television.